All right, so things are still not looking too good for Tom Segura and Your Mom's House Studios. You know, they ended last year on a bad note with Tom's airport meltdown and Nadav, their producer, leaving the show. And it looks like these problems have carried over into the new year because Dr. Drew just announced that he's leaving the company. And then on the way out, he liked a tweet that said, "The ship is going down, LMFAO." So that's not the best sign there. I mean, maybe he just didn't know what this tweet was referring to or something, but it's just not looking too good here. You know, first Nadav leaving and now him.
Dr. Drew has finally left Your Mom's House. Partly, it's been maybe like a couple years, maybe like 4 years already. Who knows, man? Maybe 2, 3 years. Too Lazy to Try made this video about how Tom's network, Your Mom's House, is in trouble. Too Lazy to Try seemed to blame it on Nadav. He seems to think that Nadav held everybody together. He was the guy that the host of the podcast would talk to, and now that he's gone, there's like a hole there.
Like this comment says, they listen to Dr. Drew regularly, and after Nadav left, they could tell it was done for. They said hearing Dr. Drew try to interact with the remaining booth boys was hard to listen to. He needs a co-host or an actual producer. And a bunch of other people said the same thing. And I know Nadav and Dr. Drew are pretty close. So I think Nadav was a bigger part of this company than Tom really realized.
Too Lazy to Try seems to think that Nadav was like the only one that was like capable enough to riff and also be personally in touch with all these other guys like Dr. Drew. And
I think he was one of their longest employees and he was their main producer. I think he said he had been there for 7 or 8 years and they would interact with him a lot during the show. And like Tom said, he was basically the laugh track. And it sounds like without him, things are just completely different. But Tom probably figured since he's just a producer, then he's expendable. But now it looks like that's not the case.
Too Lazy to Try mentions that Tom mentions that as well, that there's a gap left because of his departure.
And people seem to think this might have been a ripple effect from Nadav leaving, and he was a bigger part of YMH than people realized, including Tom. But I think he's starting to realize it. Like on his show recently, he was talking about him.
Are those fake laughs that they do, or do they find that funny?
No, that was real. These guys don't fake laugh.
Okay.
No, they don't fake laugh. It's you'll hear a lot of silence.
Really?
That's how you can tell.
They laugh. The last time I was here, when I was on Your Mom, they laughed a lot.
Well, that was Capital J, but he left.
Did he die too?
He looks like he's going to die, but he moved on.
Well, all right.
He has a very powerful, mighty laugh, and he was like a big laugher.
Okay.
But he left, and you can feel the hole. Yeah.
All right.
So I think Tom is starting to realize maybe letting Nadav walk wasn't the best idea because now the chemistry is just off.
He seems to think that Dr. Drew, after Nadav left, then it was his time to go because maybe the vibes were bad with the other booth guys, couldn't have any chemistry with. I guess Nadav leaving was like the final straw.
And it's funny that morale has been down since Nadav has left because the one time where the booth did sound very enthusiastic was when Steve-O was bashing Tom and Christina for making fun of poor people and not treating their employees well.
I'm guessing there's probably not that much money left over for the guys in the booth either.
Oh,
it's all
man.
Tom and Christina just running around, getting on private jets, making fun of poor people.
Yeah. God damn it. All right. Next up.
Yeah, so it's not a good sign when the only time the producers and everybody working behind the scenes get excited is when somebody's trashing their employer.
And also, Too Lazy to Try thinks that, maybe Nadav wanted, more money, maybe also his own show on the network, and Tom didn't want to, and, then he made his own, which, yeah, he did.
And I'm sure before Nadav left, he probably asked for a raise or something. Like also people are speculating maybe he wanted his own show on Tom's network, which would make sense because he left to start his own show on YouTube and it's going pretty well. And I'm sure if you're on Tom's network, it'd be doing just as well as Not Today, Pal, the podcast that Tom gave to Rob Eiler and Jamie Lynn Siegler. And it's funny because I clicked on a random episode of that and the first comment says, "My God, the energy in the booth is dead now." So clearly Tom made a big mistake here letting Nadav go, and maybe Nadav just wanted to do things on his own. Maybe there's nothing Tom could have done, or maybe Nadav realized his value to the show and asked for a raise or asked for his own show, and Tom denied it. And then, he saw these two get a show and he's like, all right, this is ridiculous. I'm just going to go do things on my own.
He seems to think that some of the views are also falling off, and also all the numerous sets that they have made for different podcasts is just too much now. Like, pandemic is over, and now you just have to go back to your regularly scheduled programming.
That, and like this comment says, Tom and Christina overinvested in the studio. They thought the pandemic boom for all media was going to last forever, and the deals they were offering for comedians that have a draw were too favorable to them, so they got rejected. That's why Potter and Sickle Cell left after a year. They got an initial bump, but they would make way more money producing their own show. So I think podcast studio companies just aren't very realistic long term, because first of all, the podcast market is already completely saturated. There's way too many to listen to. And then also, like I said, there's really no need for people to use a podcast production company. You can just do it on your own. I mean, I guess the initial boost helps, but also most people that sign with production companies already have a following themselves. And it's not like you need this studio producing everything. I mean, producing your own podcast is not very hard. It's like literally one of the easiest things to do. I guess if you're somebody that just wants to show up, talk, and get paid and not worry about anything else, that's the way to go. But it's really not that hard to set up your own podcast. And it doesn't need to be this highly produced thing. Some people just think the more money you spend on something, the higher quality it is, the more views it'll get. But that is definitely not the case. I mean, just look at Brendan Schaub. He acts like he has this legit operation going on, and he has a whole podcast studio.
Maybe he could be right on that, but I feel like every person that has a podcast has their own audience, because you can see it in the numbers there when you search up the Your Mom's House YouTube videos. Like, there's a variety of different podcasts. Like, one that's very obvious, you'll see like Lauren Compton recently came on, maybe a half a year already in, and she's already getting 100K, even 1 million views with, I think, Mark Normand.
This week on First Date with Lauren Compton.
These girls were like, well, I never, and they're clenching their pearls. Get out of here. You're gonna put, but you can't hear a zinger.
So she's very popular in there because of, the really nice thumbnails that they create for her. Danny Brown always seems to stick on maybe 100K or 80K.
This week on the Danny Brown Show.
What's the main flavor of a carrot cake? If it's not like carrots in there, because
it's carrots.
What?
It's carrots and carrot cake.
What?
The Your Mom's House podcast goes up to like 600, 800, like, so it stays around there, like. And then there's Dr. Drew, which Dr. Drew seems to stick around in the 80K region. And Christina has her own podcast, and that one's not doing so well. Like, she hits around 40K, 50K, something like that. So, everybody has their own different viewer and different audience. So you can see that in the views. And also, sometimes they do cross, and that's when you see, 1 million views or from any other places. But the subreddit is funny though, because they seem to think that Dr. Drew had something with Lauren Compton, and maybe Dr. Drew's wife didn't like that.
My wife is a huge fan of yours. I remember I was telling you that I kind of like dating. She didn't. That was not.
She was
she didn't dig that.
Red flag.
It's designed for semen. Yes, it is. And so you can touch people.
There's also other theories that maybe he's just getting old and maybe he just wants to retire already, which is understandable. Like, that guy's been doing it for a long time, and now I think he's like 75 or something. So maybe he's gonna leave his stethoscope behind. So yeah, the doctor has left the building. I also think that maybe Tom making him do weird things, like do these very explicit physical examinations.
So it's an important cause of cancer. It's not as common as breast cancer in women, but it's something that men should be aware and should be able to learn to do their own self-examination. And so today,
and maybe after a while, like, he's just got tired of it. He's like, maybe I'm just too old for this shit, Tom and Christina embarrassing me all the time, calling me, asking weird questions. Is the pee stored in the balls?
You can't get too much cum in those balls. You get too much cum in your bladder.
Wow.
So look, man, I don't know. But I think it, like, Too Lazy to Try, I guess his narrative on Nadav is a little too crazy for me. I feel like, I mean, yeah, he was like their first producer. They also called them like Blue Band.
What amount of money will you pay
She's
to
still down
permanently hurt?
I don't want to permanently hurt you. I want to.
You just want to hurt me bad?
Have you ever fallen in love, Nadav?
Yes.
What were the attributes that person had that made you fall in love?
I think it was talking shit to me.
But also, it's like, come on, man. Like, you know, they have other producers there. You know, the other guys that are in that booth don't seem to want to talk that much. They just want to just do the work, right? And if, you know, maybe they feel like they're not getting paid enough, so they just have minimal talk. Who knows? I just don't I don't know what the whole pay is there. Like, because then you see Lauren Compton getting all these views, and then you see Danny Brown getting a little bit of views, and Dr. Drew a little bit of views, and so how do you calculate that into paying them? I mean, if you pay them their fair share of views, and I'm okay with that. Dr. Drew leaving, it could be a whole bunch of different things. Let me know what you guys think. There's a lot of theories here, but maybe I feel like he's just gonna retire soon and call it quits on all the media, being a media doctor. All right, guys, I'll see you guys next time for another one. Leave a like and subscribe. Bye bye.